Are you a business owner or employee who needs to network but is terrified of walking into a room full of people you don't know? Are you afraid of being left out of conversations or being awkward in the conversations you do have? Your tour guide, Faithann, is here to walk alongside you through the networking terrain, offering tips and tricks to network with ease. She'll also bring insightful interviews with successful business owners who have used networking to expand their businesses. Building relationships is the heart of networking, and generosity is the cruise ship that will navigate you toward those important relationships for your business or career. Grab your sunscreen and suitcase. Faithann is ready. Are you?
Hello there, and welcome to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. I'm glad you found the show. Networking is providing opportunities for others that they would not have except for you, so that you have standing to ask for opportunities from people when you need them. How do we create opportunities for others, and how do we ask for those same opportunities? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. It's what I'm here for. Let's dive into episode 46. Welcome to this episode of the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. And if this is your first episode to listen to, welcome. I'm so glad you found the Networkers Tour Guide podcast. This episode is a compilation of the first 10 guests that I've had on the podcast and their answers to two questions I ask every guest. First, what do you like to see when you network? Second, what do you not like to see when you network? Each guest's full episode will be linked in the show notes. Listen and see if you agree with their answers. If you are a local Oklahoma City networker, I also want to invite you to check out Premium OKC Networking. This is my networking calendar that if I could clone myself, I would go to every event on this calendar. I have chosen them carefully based on the people who are organizing or have founded the events and where connection can happen. I would love to invite you to check out Premium OKC Networking and see if you want to be part of my calendar and community forum. You can find the link to Premium OKC Networking in the show notes. And now here are the first 10 guests and their answers. What do you like to see when you network, and what do you not like to see when you network? All right, well, as we wrap this conversation up, Joanne, you've networked for a long time, so I know that you would be a good resource. If you don't mind, tell me one thing that you really like when people do at networking meetings and one thing that people should not do.
One thing I really like that people do is they are genuinely interested in others. They're up and talking. They are not just with the same people. You see them with different people all the time. I think that that's very helpful. And it's easy. It's easy to sit by, the same people, the same seat you always do, kind of like at church. You just show up, this is my seat, so this is where I'm going to sit. But kind of changing up and just being kind of just all over the room, talking to everyone. That's why we're there. So
Right.
I think that's what I really like to see. And of course, I could always do better myself, but I think that's always encouraging to see that. And then I think what frustrates me the most is when you see people we're going back to that presentation, the 60-second presentation, saying the same thing over and over and over. And we know what they do and we know what they want, and not learning anything about the industry that they're in, not giving any sort of ideas on how to get them the referrals they want. It's just the same thing over and over. And it can be monotonous. And it's just because they just need more education. They need more training on how to really get people's attention. But I think too, it also might just be a lack of effort.
Yeah, it's something that you should take seriously, because how often do we have the attention of 20 to 30 people all at the same time?
Right.
And you shouldn't take it for granted. And so normally a business does not just serve one type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always things you can talk about that are different. And you know what else you could do is tell client stories. So if people are saying the same thing over and over and over again, they're not utilizing what they have. Go to your Google reviews, read all of your Google reviews, find the best one, and tell that to the room. And don't read it from your phone. Memorize the concept, the general idea of what that review says, retell it, and then you can say, so this week I'm looking for somebody who wants to have a good experience like Bob, who blah, 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 and blah, 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 because I was able to help Bob, blah, blah, blah. He appreciated that. So that's such an easy way to find material, is to see who's bragged on you and what specifically are they liking about you. I want to ask you two questions before you leave. What do you like to see in networking when people are doing or saying, and what do you not like?
What I like to see in networking, that's a good question. I would say building on the relationship after the meeting and really getting to deep dive into what people do and look at who their last 10 clients have been. So really getting to know the members and who you're meeting with. Even if you go to a chamber event or a mix and mingle or some of these other ones, don't just go and expect to just get a slew of business. You really, I think following up and having a one-to-one afterwards, regardless of what networking event you're doing, is important. And I like it when people set those as soon as possible. Try to do it quickly. Get one-to-one set up, especially if you've had a conversation with them and there's some interest, or if you're interested in what they're doing or selling or service they're providing, try to do that and do it quickly.
Yeah, so, at the meeting, really.
At the meeting, really. I mean, pull your calendar out. You got your phone. We have all this technology. Let's use it. Let's make it effective and try to get it scheduled. I think what I don't like, giver's gain is a big thing to me. I think when people come in with the intention of only kind of, oh, this group isn't for me, no one can help me. That it's the wrong mindset. And again, if it's not a group that would really assist in your growth at some point, I understand, but you'd be surprised at who knows who. And coming in with the right mindset and knowing that, okay, maybe these few people can't help me, but let's have one-to-ones and find out who their service providers are, who are their vendors. Coming in with the right attitude, I think, is very helpful. But I think that's what's great about BNI, is having a membership committee and doing a deep dive on who the applicants are and really research them and know if they're going to take it serious or not, do the time commitment, all that good stuff. It's having the right mindset, I think, is key. And if you don't, that just, if you come in and it's just me, that just puts me off. And
leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Exactly.
As we wrap this up, I always ask the guests two questions. What do you not like in networking that you see people do, and what do you like when you network?
Well, okay. Did you say what do I not like first?
It's up to you.
Okay. One of the things I find very off-putting is when somebody comes up and before they have my permission, start making suggestions on ways that I should change or why I should hire them. I always say it's kind of like somebody coming up to you and with a really sharp piece of paper and like giving you a bunch of paper cuts and then saying, "Oh, bless your heart, baby, you're bleeding. I sell Band-Aids." I'm like, I'm bleeding because you cut me. So I really am off put by somebody who comes up at a networking meeting who says, I looked at your website and you really need some help with your SEO and you should. And it's like, wait, you don't have my permission. You should not actually put offers in front of people until you have their permission. So that's important. One of the things I really do appreciate at a networking meeting is I appreciate when somebody goes out of their way to make me feel welcome, especially when I'm attending for the first time. Not everybody believes this when they think about a sales coach, but I am a little bit of an introvert and I can be quite shy. So I find it intimidating to go into a room full of people that I don't know. And when somebody goes out of their way to make me feel welcome, oh, I just so appreciate that. And actually, I teach that in my networking course. I teach act as if it's your event, even though it's not. Act as if it's your event. And if somebody came into your home, you would want them to feel welcome. You would want to like, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Who can I introduce you to? Or how can I help you get the most out of this time here? Act like that. And people, it raises your credibility in the room, the person who makes other people feel comfortable, and people will remember you. So I really appreciate when someone does that for me.
Amy, when you are networking, what do you like to see people do? And what do people do that you do not like and think, man, I'm not going to do that, or I'm glad I don't do that?
Okay, so I always start with the bad news first. So for me, the thing I hate to see is card shoving. I already kind of mentioned it earlier, but people just walking around putting their card in everyone's hand that will take it. To me, that is a get kind of mindset. What can I get from you? That never works. Don't do it. It's just it's not a good look. Nobody likes that. What's sad is that like a lot of people just don't know any better. And so if you're a leader in that room, being kind enough to tell that person, and guide them and coach them through what will work versus what won't work. Trying to shake as many hands as you possibly can in the room, that never works either. Like you can't get to know anyone intentionally with a spray and pray tactic. You're not going to get to know all 30 people in the room in 1 hour. But what I love to see is intentional conversations and intentional questions that are happening that are not about business. I want to know what people are excited about. I want to know about their children. I want to know about what little girl Faith Ann was like. I want to know what you're looking forward to this weekend, because in my line of work, especially, it's a relationship for sure. It's not a transactional, like, I'm a plumber, let me come fix your sink. Okay, great. In that situation, maybe someone doesn't need to know all of that information, but the better you can get to know someone, the more willing to share their life and their challenges they're going to be with you. And that's where you can actually understand what motivates someone, because what motivates them in their personal life is the same thing that motivates them in their business. It's the same thing that motivates them in their decision, and it's also the same thing that's going to endear you to them. I can't tell you how many conversations, and I use the word conversation loosely because I'll be at a networking event or meeting and ask a person a question, and there is nothing someone loves to talk about more than themselves.
Right.
Even if they are shy, if you're in a very intimate corner of the room or sitting side by side, people love to talk about themselves. We are in a very fast paced, very attention starved world. And if you give someone that space to talk about who they are, I've had conversations that lasted an hour where I didn't say a word about myself other than my name.
Mm-hmm.
And people have come back to me, or I've heard in other conversations or been introduced to people because of those conversations, because of opening my ears and shutting my mouth, which, trust me, is hard for someone like me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been called, oh my gosh, you have to meet Amy Singleton. She is the most interesting person. And I think to myself, you don't know anything about me. Like, why am I interesting to you? But it's because I'm interested
Right.
in who they are. Not tell me all about your plumbing business. Like, okay, well, I mean, fine, I can tell you about my plumbing business, but that's kind of boring. But when tell me about where you went to college. One of my favorite questions is, how did you meet your spouse? Tell
Yeah.
me that story.
What do you like to see when you network?
I like to see authenticity. I love to see someone who is it's okay if you're not totally confident in being there. I think that that is often a great icebreaker for people to just connect and be real people with each other. When you are in work mode, sometimes that can be really hard and we tend to take ourselves too seriously. I know for me, when I was first networking many, many moons ago, I would just have this perception of the type of person that I needed to be to best represent myself and my company and my brand. And the result was that I didn't find the best connections. I wasn't building the best credibility with the people that I was meeting because whatever it was, whether they were feeling the lack of authenticity, whether they were seeing that I was nervous to be there, it didn't really put a good taste in their mouth to continue to have a connection, to have a relationship with me. So, authenticity, I feel like, is just so important to let people know why you're there, let people know what you're about, and sometimes, again, you might not know that you are talking to someone who could become your best referral partner ever. If you go in with the mindset of, I need to take this so seriously and I need to only talk to these prospective clients that fit this ideal certain demographic, you're really missing out on a lot of other connections that could be positive and influential for you. That could go as far as, like I said, referral partners, but it also could be that you find a mentor that helps you navigate your way through future networking events, that you find an ally or a friend that the next networking event that you go to, you have someone that you can say hi to, you have someone that you can sit with. And you're just not going to be open to making those connections without going in with authenticity and being yourself.
Oh, that's so good. I love how you said that, you know, one of the kinds of people you can find at networking events are mentors. That's so true. And I've had some great mentors. And you're right, just seeing a familiar face and a smile from somebody across the room, and it just lets you be, like you said, authentic. That's such a great person too to have, you know, who's never going to be a referral for you, but when you look at that person, you're like, okay, everything's going to be okay. You know, my mentor, one of my mentors was a travel agent because she first invited me to BNI, and I would be petrified to get on a cruise ship, so I would never be a client for her because I don't think it's I think it's kind of nuts to go on a boat in the middle of the ocean and there's nothing around you but water. But she served a different role for me, and I served a different role for her. I was a champion for her, and she was a mentor to me. And you're so right about that. That's a great point. Is you can find a mentor very quite easily, and most of the time it's accidentally. You know, you're not even looking for, it,
Mhm.
and they just catch you and they say, "Come here, it's gonna be okay." You know. Okay. One last question. What do you not like to see when you network?
That is a great question.
Mm.
I will say that I'm pretty open-minded, so I'm usually going into events and I'm open to whatever is going to happen. But something that ultimately puts me off is when you encounter people that were forced to be there and they're
Oh.
not interested in being there. A lot of the time, unfortunately, it can be employees of the company who is sponsoring the event, for example, and they have a spiel that they're ready to give. And maybe they do have the elements that we were talking about earlier of knowing how to communicate who they are and what they do, which is all well and good. But if you are lacking that authenticity and the willingness, the want to be there, the goals to connect with people over being there because it's part of your job, I think that can be really off-putting when you talk to someone and they give you, again, their pitch, and that's it. And you're having to hold more information out of them, to really establish that connection. I think it just makes it harder and a little more intimidating to connect with the people that matter, that you're going to get real value out of.
I always ask people two questions. So the first question is, what do you like to see when you network?
I like to see a mix of people in the room. I like to see energy where people are standing and talking in whether it's groups or big groups. But I'd like to see people engaging with each other. That's probably my favorite part. And having somebody that's a greeter or a floater that kind of goes around and instigates topics and things like that or what have you. I just like to see that people talking and laughing and that kind of thing.
That's almost exactly what another guest just told me. Same
Oh,
thing, you know, the love, the energy in the room. That's what he loved. All right, what do you not like to see when you network?
The thing that disappoints me the most when I go into a networking style event is seeing someone sitting by themselves on their phone or whatever. I feel like if you've gone into the room, you should be there to network and you shouldn't be sitting there staring at your phone in the corner. If you wanted to wait until the meeting was going for that, stay in your car and sit on your phone because people don't know if you're in the middle of something or you have a problem going on, so that they're hesitant to interrupt you because
Right.
they're like, oh, maybe they're in the middle of something because they're sitting there on their phone, texting. So that's kind of the thing that I'm like, I'm always very conscientious when I go into a room. If I'm there as a participant of a networking organization, whether I'm substituting or visiting for the first time or at a chamber event, I'm engaged in that room at the time to meet people. And so you don't meet people if you're sitting by yourself at a table with you're looking at your phone.
Right.
I stand up and I try to greet everyone I can see. If I make eye contact to someone, I'll go and say hi and introduce myself and things like that. So sitting alone is kind of thing. I'm like, if that's what you want to do, wait until the meeting starts and just sit in your car and then go in, because
Right.
you make a better impression having gone in and just having a seat than you would sit by yourself ahead of
Right.
time.
So, what do I not like in networking? You really want me to go there?
I do.
Okay.
I ask everybody, whatever you're comfortable sharing.
I don't like it when I walk into a room and everybody's sitting down on their dang phone. It drives me batty. Are you here to meet people or are you here to doom scroll in the middle of the afternoon?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think that this is from an experience standpoint. As an experienced networker, I know I'm going to see that and it drives me crazy. And sometimes I will make people talk to me anyway. I will see that table that's like completely closed in with their elbows on the table, their phone next to their face, and I will literally like tap and make them talk to me because I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But like most people don't do that, but I hate seeing that. Like be present in the moment. Your doom scroll can wait.
Right.
Your whatever you think is more important can wait. You decided to go here. You don't need to check your email. I promise you, no one's going to die in your email.
Right.
And that is just so frustrating to me to see talented people in a room where they can provide value, sitting down and not talking to people.
Yes.
Drives me nuts.
I agree. Especially if you're hosting the event.
Oh my gosh, what a disappointment, right? Like events are hard.
Yes.
Networking events are harder.
Yes.
I think. I mean, it's just like you put your blood, your sweat, your tears, all of this in here. You get all these people together and you see like a number of people, but they're not doing the networking activity that you're wanting them to do.
Mm-hmm.
They might as well have just stayed where they were or out in their car. Maybe they should have not made it into the meeting. I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well, what do you like to see when you
Oh.
network?
I love to see people on their feet, if at all, physically possible, on their feet, talking to each other. Again, being that guide of, oh my gosh, you need to meet so-and-so. Having prepared questions. I always come with 3 prepared questions at minimum that are not, what do you do?
Right.
I don't really care what you do, actually.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is a material to how we can help you in this networking setting. And so I come pre-prepared with questions. I love seeing people standing up. I love it when people ask me questions that are out of the box.
Yeah.
And there's just this movement and this energy about being up, about being standing up, and just really talking and connecting. And there's just this liveliness about it. And that is my favorite thing.
What do you like to see when you network?
I think what I like to see when I network is just a genuine interest. The people in the room have a genuine interest in the people around them, and maybe not necessarily for what they can get out of them, but it's kind of like what we talked about there. It's like, hey, like these people seem to have a really good and warm relationship outside of whatever their field is. People in general are pretty intuitive to that kind of stuff. If you
Yes.
walk in a room and everyone's smiling and talking and people are kind of walking here and there, and there's a lot of activity happening, and not frantic activity, but just, people are mingling.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see that because if you walk in a room and everyone's just silent, sitting down at their own desk or their own chair and no one's talking, that would throw up some red flags. So I guess that would say what I don't like, but like what I like at the same
Yeah.
time. I think that sort of activity, that sort of communication, that sort of relational warmth is indicative of a group that is invested in each other in and out of their businesses.
What do you not like to see when you network?
The opposite of what we said.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you walk into a room, and you can feel tension. There's so much about communication that's nonverbal. My joke is, 97% of statistics are made up on the spot. So it's
Right.
but it's like it's a really high percentage, of our communications nonverbal, and just people's communication. And so you walk into a room, and even if no words are being spoken, you can sense a tension in the air. And if there's tension, I mean, generally that's unresolved conflict. So we're going, okay, hold on, there's something happening that maybe isn't the best environment for this networking, for what needs to take place because that under part of the iceberg, something's off.
So the first question is, what do you not like to see when you network?
Specifically the guests not being included. So if you are a regular to that group, whether it's a BNI or like a chamber coffee or something along those lines, if you're a regular and most people and then you see somebody come in, go greet them, go talk to them, make them feel welcome. You never know if they're going to be your ideal client or referral partner, but two, that makes the networking feel less daunting, especially a lot of those people that don't automatically just like flow with the crowd. They're probably pretty nervous. And if you
Right.
can kind of put them at ease, it's going to put a really good taste in their mouth and they're going to want to come back. But then you'll also have a really great opportunity to build a relationship with them too.
Excellent. What do you like to see when you network?
I mean, it's like the other side of that coin, right?
Yeah,
Like I
right.
like to see that that openness and just like the whole group, like bringing someone in and making them feel welcome. It's the feeling you get when you come in, especially with in person, like that welcome feel and that welcome energy. That's what I really like to see. Virtually, I really like to see when you give out a contact list to everyone and you ask for the visitor to add their contact information to the chat.
That's good. I hadn't thought of that. That's a nice perspective. Yeah. That would make a visitor feel really welcome if they're invited to put their contact information in the chat. As we wrap up, I always ask my guests, what is one thing that you like to see when you network and one thing you don't like to see when you network?
I think it's because of who I am and what I do, but I love people just being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell when they're really trying to fake it or when they're trying to be someone that they're not. And just knowing that this person is just real with you, I love to see that. I don't like, this is something that has happened to me quite a few times. I don't like people pulling me in with, I want to know more about what you do. And when I do the one-on-one or when I network with them, it's all about them and what they want from me. It's not anything about how we could collaborate. It's all about, it's just them, focused on them. It's not only disappointing, but it gives me a bad taste in my mouth. And I don't want to do business with them because I feel like that's not who I am. I'm a collaborative person. Like I love to meet people and network because I want to do things and serve others.
Mm-hmm.
And that just doesn't sit well with me. And so I don't like when that happens.
You've been listening to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast with Faithann Basore. Share this episode with a friend and be sure to come back next week for more networking tips and tricks from the Networkers Tour Guide.